Welcome back. The next talk will be about contributors, Debian.org, given by Tiago. Please give a very warm welcome applause.
Hello, Mick. Okay. Thank you for coming. This afternoon I'll talk a little about the contributors.debian.org service. Technically, it's a website. It was a project from about 2013 by Enrico Zini, and since then it's evolving to be a very nice place to thank people for contributing to Debian in many different areas, which is something kind of new to Debian, even if it's been developed for about 10 years already. I'll show you a few contexts and a few details about that. First thing, we have this nice text in our project. Does anyone know from the origin of this? No?
This is the community, the diversity statement of the project.
Thank you. Yes, this is our diversity statement, and it says that the project welcomes and encourages participation by everyone. And in the end, it says, while much of the work for our project is technical in nature, we value and encourage contributions from those with expertise in other areas and welcome them into our community. This is the URL of our diversity statement. And but back then in 2010, 2011, Debian was already a mature project, but we still had only kind of we had, I don't know exactly the number, but we had about 1,000 developers and many contributors around the world, but we had, I did this to show you more or less how it looked like in the past. We had the nobody class and the Debian developer class. Many people contribute to Debian in many different areas, but they still were nobody for the project. And other people, they used to be considered a Debian developer because they maintained packages. And at some point, we decided to change that view because actually we have many different areas of expertise being worked on Debian by many people that we probably don't know. And we needed to thank those people. We needed to motivate them. And that's more or less was more or less the goal of the Debian Contributors project in the past. So we have DebConf volunteers, bug reporters, wiki editors, translators, designers, package sponsors, mentors, package reviewers, press contributors, sysadmin, outreaching, QA, list moderators, testers, and cheese masters, and even maintainers, package maintainers. And the thing is, you may not believe it, but I'll bring you a few truths today. The first one is that expressing gratitude makes you happier. This you only know if you do. Like, there's no way to be happy for expressing gratitude if I just listen to me. Everybody might know already that. Another thing is that it makes those who have been thanked happy too. And the good thing is that every time in the future you remember that you are being grateful, you feel happy again. So that's a very nice investment, because you just do it once for the Debian contributors. You're going to see, you set a cron job, and you'll be thanking people for your team every hour, every day, as much as you want. And every time you remember that, you feel happy. So it's a good thing at the individual level, and a good thing at the project level as well. However, you don't need to think too much, and I'm sharing that because just to understand a little bit of the concept of contributors.debian.org. That means that if someone bought a coffee for you yesterday, you don't need to thank them every day for that. It's going to get boring very quickly and annoying. You don't need to thank too precisely, like, oh, thank you for bringing me a coffee yesterday at that room, at that time, that kind of coffee, and blah, 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 blah. You really don't need that. So you just need to say, thank you for bringing me a coffee yesterday, maybe, and that's all. The person who being thanked, they might prefer not to be thanked. And once you thank them once, they can just say, thank you for thanking me. I'm being too Canadian now. But I prefer not to be thanked, and that's okay. That's okay. And also, you don't need to impose a policy of being thanked to the person being thanked. It's different from our new member process. To become a Debian contributor, to be thanked by Debian, you don't need to go through a process or anything like that. I'm going to show you a few concepts of more concrete concepts of this project after I illustrate a little bit in a more abstract level. There's no process to become a contributor. To become a Debian contributor, you just need to contribute to Debian. That's very simple. The system is not perfect. It doesn't list every contribution yet. It doesn't list exactly what time and how much you contribute on that team or on another team. You're going to see that we give a few an overview of the contribution, but we don't need to be very precise on that. And really important that each team take care of its contributors. That's a key point, because that's one of the reasons I'm here today. I'm not the main developer I'm not even a developer of the contributors website. I did some change recently, but I know that Enrico, when he proposed that about 10 years ago, he said, I'm going to provide a way to every team to add their data source in order to thank their members, because there's no way I can maintain a data source for every team in Debian. That's very reasonable, and I'm here today to also ask for help from the teams, and I'm available to help as well on creating data source, because without this data source, the contributors service doesn't work. It really needs data. And the contributors website doesn't make any distinction between being a Debian developer or not. So a Debian developer is not automatically a Debian contributor if they don't contribute to Debian. If they didn't do anything to Debian in 2024, they are not a Debian contributor in 2024. Even the DPL is not automatically a Debian contributor. You can check if our DPL is a Debian contributor, maybe. Sorry, Andres. I hope you are an active contributor to Debian. Well, yeah, I think it's fair to say that our DPL is a Debian contributor at this point. Yeah. So before we do some navigation on the website, I would like to show some features, just to present some features of the service. That is, if you are a Debian developer, you'll be automatically added to the contributors list when you do a contribution. If you are not, then you can opt out if you want. If you are not a Debian developer, you need to create an account in South at this moment. It can change in the future, and then opt in. This was not documented until 2 days ago. So actually things changed over time. It was not like that before. That's why it probably was not documented. But we did that 2 days ago. So it's now we have a nice wiki page with all the documentation. If you want to be, if you think you have contributed to Debian at some point, you create the Debian wiki account and you edit something. You added your name to the day trip, or if you did a small translation recently, or you did your first commit in Salsa for any project, you'll be listed as Debian contributor. And but for that, if you are not a Debian member, you need to have a Salsa account and opt-in the website. Another feature is that you can, in the Debian contributors website has a concept of person, people. And it's funny because 10 years ago when Enrico gave this talk, he said, you know, I realized that the concept of people is new to Debian. Because we had only emails, GPG keys and logins, but then he thought of having this data model of a person in the way that can associate your different identities to this person. So in contributors.debian.org, you are a person, and you can have multiple email address, GPG keys and logins from different services associated to the same person. And you can do that. The system will do that automatically for a few services, and for the other service, and you have to do it by hand. And we can navigate through this website later and do that. And you also can control the kind of contribution you want to be listed. Because maybe you want to be thanked by one kind of contribution, but you want to hide the other kind of contribution for some reason. It's a nice tool for the missing in action team. I'm going to show you a few, the view, the web page view that you can use to check if people are being active in Debian or not, and then the team can take the appropriate action. By becoming a Debian contributor, you have a summary of your contributions, which is nice. At some point, you can forget that you did this and that for that team in the past. It's nice to keep track about all your contributions in a single place for yourself. you know that Debian publicly acknowledges your work, which is about gratitude. It's a good thing for everybody and therefore for the project. You may feel thanked. You get reputation and you get spammed. No, you don't get spammed because we hide your mail address. Well, you can still get spammed by Google recruiters, but you might like it. Who knows? And by adding your team to Debian contributors, you make your team members Debian contributors, so they get benefit from being a contributor. You motivate potential members to join your team. I found this a nice feature because I'm not a very specialized person in the technical field, so I just like to work with people I like. So it's nice to have a view of someone you like and see where they are working on Debian, and then you can probably be motivated to join that team as well. And also you'll be thanked for not overloading others maintaining your team's data source. As I said, ideally every team should add a data source to the Debian contributors to list their members in the website. What happens, it's not happening. We have a few teams, we have quite a few teams already there. Some of them are abandoned, and some of them never existed. So we're going to have a BOF about Debian contributors in this DebConf, where I'm going to show you an effort of adopting abandoned data source because, as I said, some teams didn't provide the data source, and other teams they did, but they didn't. You know, we had teams that someone added the data source, did some code for that, and they run their cron job in their laptop overnight, and it's not updating the website, and you ask them, and they say, oh, it's running my laptop, the cron job, to send the data every night, but sometimes I sleep and I close my laptop overnight, so it doesn't update the website. So I'm going to show you a project that we are trying to fix that by providing a VM in Debian infrastructure to send the data to run these jobs daily for the abandoned data source. Anyway, how to help? Please, if you are part of a team, check the website, the contributors, debian.org, and see if your team is already there. If not, please consider adding the data source for your team. It can be anything. We're going to talk in details during the BOF. It's going to be a hands-on BOF, so you can go and you can add easily. You can add data source at any kind there. It doesn't need to be a commit. It doesn't need to be a translation or something like that we know already that we do in Debian very often. It could be like someone who presented a talk in a local event in your country, in your city, or someone who volunteered to organize a conference, a mini conference or a sprint. It could be any kind of contributions. For the Brazilian team, they have so many people there working for Debian that we don't know yet because they're not listed exactly for the reason there is no way to get the information that they volunteered here and there in an event in Brazil, so that if they ask for a sponsorship for DebConf, for instance, they could be just refused because they are not listed anywhere. or if they apply at some point to be a Debian maintainer, or we can always get the information from other sources in Debian to get for this. But still, we know that I'm part of the new maintainer team, new member team. We use contributors a lot to check the contributions before considering that person to become a Debian developer, Debian maintainer. And I know that for DebConf as well, for food accommodation and bursaries, and at some point if you need to move from a place to another in a country to participate in a sprint or anything like that, or if you need a hardware and you need to ask Debian because you're gonna work in a specific port or something, it's nice to have you in the Debian contributors list, and then people can check your contributions and help the process to be easier. So what else you can do to help? We have a wiki page that I tried to improve these days during DebCamp and DebConf, but it still needs a lot of improvement. We have the website is written in Django, so if you have any experience, please help as well. You can adopt a data source. If you are not part of a team, but you like this team for some reason, or even if you dislike this team, but if you want to help, please do, just for fun, data source, and try to give them the responsibility of maintaining it. That's ideally the thing to do. And spread the word and join the BOF. In this BOF, I don't know exactly the day, and probably on Thursday at some point. It's going to be quite open, so interested people can join, and we're going to talk about implementation details and how to create a data source for your team. You can have newcomers that, as I said, have already contributed to Debian in any front and didn't get listed yet in the Debian contributor website. You can help them to be there. We can talk about handling identities. If you see that you are listed twice, 3 times because you have different logins in the past or different PGP key, we can do together this association if you have any doubts how to do it. We can improve the wiki together, hacking the code, and we can talk about the Debian contributors feeder, dcf.debian.net. That's a very simple service to provide a machine that is just going to run cron jobs to update data source which are abandoned at this point. I'm going to list you some resource. And this was supposed to be a small talk, but we had some time left in the schedule, so I asked to have more time. But that's it. If you have any question, you can navigate on the website, and I can show you more or less how it works in the front end and also in the admin side of it to see how things work more or less. Thank you.
If there are no questions, then let's thank Tiago for this great talk, and thanks for contributing to Contributors DBN.org.